Hello. Hello. Dzień dobry. My name is Coach Carr, and the accent you hear is from the West Coast of the United States. California, mostly, is where I am from, but also north of that, sometimes far north. Portland, Oregon. But I was born and raised in Los Angeles. So that is mostly where my dialect comes from. Welcome to Open World Shenanigans. Today we are going to begin with an English lesson. That's right. We're going to do some English grammar. And I'll show you what's coming up here in the show. We need to click the correct button here. Okay. Here we go. We're going to talk about grammar, sentence structure, and then, if there's time, some actual open world shenanigans, if we have time. Okay, so in talking about sentence structure, this is one way in which my school can help you speak better English. My approach is not typical. And instead of talking meta about the approach, let's just get into it. Okay, English and many other languages have a sentence structure, have a typical sentence structure that is something like this: subject, verb, object. And there's also a concept called TAM or TOM, probably TAM. You spell Tom like Thomas, but that with an O. This is TAM, tense, aspect, and mood. And being able to separate these, which is not always done in English lessons, being able to separate these is one way to help you understand all of the tenses, all of the different times, grammatical tenses, grammatical times in English. And today, in talking about sentence structure, we're going to look at subject, verb, object. Okay, we'll start with a simple example here. I cooked dinner. I cooked dinner. Where the subject here is I. I am the subject of this sentence. The verb is cooked. And the object, the thing that is getting the verb action done to it, that thing is dinner. That is the object. I cooked dinner. Okay, this is past simple. We can tell it's past simple. One way is because of that ED right here. Maybe I should change the color of this. It's past simple. I cooked dinner. And I'm trying to think, what would that be in Polish? Okay, I'll go over here to machine, typing in I cooked dinner. What do we have? Let me see if I can click the right button here. Okay. Yeah, here we go. ugotovawim obiad. I think that, let's see if we switch this around here. Okay, if I put ya in there, it shouldn't change anything. Wow, it went from, oop. Yeah, it didn't change anything. Ya ugotovawim obiad. So, wait, can you see all of that? Let me bring it over some. There we go. Okay, now you can see here's the subject. So Polish has similar sentence structure. Right there. There's the subject. Here's the verb. And here is the object. Okay, that's what's going on here with subject, verb, object. And here in English, we kind of need, not always, but mostly, we need to put the pronoun to explicitly say the subject. Well, definitely if it's for the first person. I cooked dinner. It's simple, right? That's simple. This is the past. It's simple. Okay, but that's kind of the only time that we have actual simple when it comes to English grammar and these labels for tenses. It's the only time, really. We go S, V, O. Subject, verb, object. S, V, O. Right? It even works that way in Polish. Subject, verb, object. Although, of course, in Polish, the subject, the pronoun, is like built in to the verb. So all of this here, this is like the subject and the verb. But it works just like SVO. I cooked dinner. Okay, this is in the past. Yesterday, last week, last month, I cooked dinner. This is really the only time that this word, or the time stamp, past, present, or future, it's really the only time, the only category in all of English grammar where these things fit together. It's in the past, it's simple. I'll show you how simple it is, okay? Because if we have in the singular, so just one person doing something, okay, let's get over here. This is really simple. I cooked dinner. You cooked dinner. And, of course, he cooked dinner. And she cooked dinner. Susan cooked dinner. Thomas, he cooked dinner. Susan, she cooked dinner. Maybe you have a really fancy kitchen and a robot cooked dinner. And you could say, it cooked dinner. Subject, verb, object. SVO. 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 It's in the past, and it's simple. Look at this verb. Does the verb change at all? This verb is the same for first person, for second person, for third person singular. And let's go to plural. Oops. I have to have my fingers on the keyboard correctly. So now we're in plural. Does the verb change? We cooked dinner. First person plural. We cooked dinner. Let's see. You all cooked dinner. Second person plural. And they cooked dinner. Third person plural. So all we had to do was change the subject up here in SVO. We just changed the pronoun. The verb stays the same. Past simple. Past simple. It's maybe the only time things are simple. But maybe with what I am about to explain to you, things will seem a little more simple. Or maybe it will help you study in a way that increases your understanding of English. So subject, verb, object. Okay, we saw how in Polish, the same. Okay, but now this is the past. Let's look at the present. If we want to stick with this, if we want to stay with this sentence structure right here, subject, verb, object, SVO. One word for this, one word for this, and one word for this. Subject, verb, object, SVO. Right? If we want to talk about the present, and we want to use SVO, we write, I cook dinner. Right now we don't have that ED anymore, right? I cook dinner. Okay, but that's not really present. I mean, in your English books, in the classroom, it's one of the present tenses, but don't you kind of think of present as meaning now? And let's make time a little more simple, because it's ridiculous. If you do a Google image search, let me see, doing that right now. Number of English tenses. Okay, well, I'll show you this here. Before the Google image search, let's have a look here. This is the everything search. 12 tenses in English. What is going on there? If you click on the images, then you get all these charts. I mean, all these different. Now, here's why. Here's the point I wanted to make here is if tense kind of means time, what is English doing? What is English doing with 12 tenses? Because I think there's before now, let's actually count the number of possible things in time. Okay, there's before now. Let's get rid of this stuff. There's before now. And then there is now. And really, this is all there is, right? Because before now is gone. That's in the past. So let's make now bigger. Now is always now. Right? It's always now. So there's before now, there's now, and then there's after now, the future. All right, we have basically 3 time zones possible. Before now, now, and after now. All right, you have the past, the present, if this is how we want to think about the present, if these words are interchangeable, if one word means the other, now, present, after now, the future, or maybe you could say beyond now. So there's these 3 times. So how is it that English, an English school, an English book, English classroom, they tell you there's 12 tenses? What is going on? Okay, part of the trick in understanding this is with subject, verb, object. Here we have I cooked dinner. Past, simple. It's both of those. But if we look at this sentence, this SVO sentence, subject, verb, object. It's not really present. And it's not really simple. How could it be simple if it's not really present? But in every class, every lesson, this is called present simple tense. Well, it's not really present. It means like all the time, right? This is really, in a way, this is kind of more like aspect than tense. Because this is not present. It's more like usually, typically, or really all the time. That's kind of a better fit for it. And where are all the time? That's not really any place in time. If there's just now, if now is all that exists, we have before now, we have after now. Is this right here even a tense? Is it talking about a point in time? It's talking about more like points in time. A large number of points in time. Before now, now, and after now. Maybe not even really now. It's more like points in time before now and points in time after now. So calling it present simple, it doesn't really help. And it's one of the only times past simple is one of the only times where we can make it simple. Subject, verb, object, SVO. Because here's how English really works. This is not uncommon in English, this structure right here. SVVVVO. SVVVVO. This is not an uncommon sentence structure. And that is where all of these tenses come from. Because in a sentence with this kind of structure, each of these verbs will have a different tense. And this one, right here, this last one in the chain of verbs, it won't even have a tense. It doesn't have a tense. It has aspect instead of tense. If you have something like this. Okay, and in English lessons with me, if you want to practice grammar, if you want to do drills, we'll have conversation. We can also work on practicing sentence structure in English. This is very, very common. SVVO. So don't worry, don't let this scare you. This SVVVVO. You could even put another V on it. That's uncommon. This is not uncommon. However, that's beyond the scope of this lesson. In fact, I'm not even going to have time for open world shenanigans. I'll have to do that later. But here's what I'm talking about. SVVO. This we can practice. This is simple. Really, it's simple because we can, this is how we talk about the future. I will cook dinner. In fact, this is the only way you can talk about the future in English. You have to use this structure. You have to use VV. You have to use two verbs. I will cook. I will cook dinner. Now we're talking about the future. And we get that from that word. Will. And that is a conjugation of this verb here, to be. This right here, this verb in English, this is really the only verb in English that has future tense. It's the only verb that changes, that will change its spelling, that will change its shape, the form of it, to make the future. Cook, we can change that to past by adding ed. And we got, oops, this is bad grammar here. We never have this. Here with the word cook, we add ed. There's nothing we can do to this word cook to get the future out of cook. But we can get the future out of to be. And if we want the idea of a meal getting made in the future, we need another verb. We need SVVO. It's the only way to talk about the future. The only way. And it's really the only way to talk about right now. I am cooking dinner. That means now. If present means now, then this is present. This is really the present tense. Now, I know some of you might say, but Coach Carr, that's present continuous or present progressive. Yeah, and if you're taking an exam, you want to know that. I don't know if that label for this tense, I don't know if it helps you speak better English. We're talking about SVVO. SVVO. So you have to, wow, what happened there? SVVO. You need SVVO in order to talk about the future. You have to have this structure to talk about right now for the present. Let's get rid of this, huh? That's not simple. It's not really present. But this is actually present. This means now. I am cooking dinner. So you can predict the future. I will cook dinner. Oops. I am cooking dinner. And then what's very common, I have cooked dinner. Now, the name for this includes the word perfect. I don't know what is perfect about this. Present perfect. It's not. There's nothing perfect about this, and it's not even that present. Look at that. That's what we're talking about. Talking about being in the kitchen with food. This is the only present part of it. So this is more past than anything. So if you want to talk about the past, it's very common to talk about the past and right now, kind of present. But not even. Sometimes it's only thought of as connected to now. But here we have SVVO. SVVO in talking about the past. You talk about the future with SVVO. In fact, you have to have two verbs to talk about the future. If you want to talk about right now, you have to have VV. You need I am. That's really the tense. I am cooking dinner. And you can talk about the past using SVVO. It's very common to do so. So that's one of the approaches that I take in English lessons. If you would like to book a lesson with me, you can just go to my website, coachcarr.com. And if you aren't sure, you can book a free lesson. You can click on the English page right here, and it will take you to where you can learn more about the courses that I offer. All right, that's all I have for right now. Did not have time to get to Open World Shenanigans, but I do have to get to a private lesson online. So I will see you later. Thanks for watching.